Okay, good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Hope you guys are well. For those of you that don't know, my name is Ulrich,
And I'm Siobhan.
and this is the journey so far, guys. And this is just a forum where we have conversations about everything relating to relationships.
Yes.
So whether that's husband and wife, whether that's you're single, you're dating, you're courting, whichever part of your relationship is, mother and father, parenting, for those of you that logged into our parenting and discipline segment a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
We just want to talk about all things regarding relationships. We're celebrating 10 years of marriage next month. Like September's like next week. Jeez.
1 month ago. 1 month today, because today's the 25th.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So there's actually just
1 month to go,
to
guys. Jeez. But yeah, so as a result of celebrating 10 years, we thought it was kind of apt to get on here, especially with obviously coronavirus and everything that's going on, just to come on here and just share our journey. Do you know what I mean? Share some positivity, encourage somebody, and we hope that you guys have been blessed. I don't know if you guys have been following all the way from the beginning. But if you haven't, go to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Two Love Collective. Everything is there. Every single episode that we've been doing every week for the past 5 to 6 months.
Can you imagine?
It has been intense, but it has been powerful at the same time.
Amen.
So guys, we're truly excited about tonight. We're going to be talking about family planning. Present and future.
Yeah.
So just to kind of recap, guys. So for those of you who've kind of been like following the journey, we're kind of in this kind of courting stage where we're talking about the conversations that we had when we were in our courting stage, and we just think it's really, really important. Because like we've been saying, courting is that period of your relationship where you're presenting your evidence.
That's right.
You've kind of done the fluffy stuff, you've done all the presents, you've done the wooing each other and all that stuff, and now it's getting to the nitty gritty
stuff, the real meat and bones. And I think like what I love about it is when Ulrich first said, I think that courting is like when people are presenting their evidence, I was kind of like, what do you mean?
She didn't catch the revelation.
It took me a couple of weeks, guys. I'm so gonna be honest with you, and I was just like,
what are you talking about, bro?
Okay, so we've been into this show called Bull, and I really like it. It started off as my show, and now it's become the household show, where we watch it and we enjoy it, and so on and so on. So when Ulrich came with the courting and evidence, I was like, just too much bull is going on.
You know what I mean?
But the minute the penny dropped, I was like, no, this is actually really deep. This is so deep, and it's so good because literally the minute you start thinking, okay, we are going to build something together as a family, we're going to build something together in a relationship, you actually have to start drafting out what your contract is going to be. What are your expectations? What are you looking for in each other? And then I started thinking, do you know what? It is like a courtroom where where you're going at it and you're looking and you're presenting this information, putting it out on the table. Well, I want this and I want that. And you're saying, this is what I'm expecting from you in marriage, and this is what you're expecting from me in marriage. I think the penny just dropped.
I mean, it's literally like, somebody going to a lawyer and asking them to defend them in court. Because essentially, when you get married, you have to defend each other. So in order for you to defend each other, the lawyer needs to know everything about you.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. So you're both lawyers and you're both
each other's defender. You're both each other's defense. I will be your defense. So that if somebody comes up to me and points an accusatory finger,
I already know about it.
I can say, listen, I already know about it, This is my husband, I already know. Do you think we don't have that pillow talk? But it can't be that it's when you're married that you're trying to have that conversation. You have to know that from the outset. You have to have all of that information from the beginning.
100%.
So this leads us quite nicely onto what we're going to discuss today, which is family planning. So one thing that Ulrich and I absolutely had to do when we were dating or when we were courting is we had to sit down and have the conversation about children. And And this conversation,
hand around you, baby.
this conversation, like many of our conversations, took place in the car. We were parked up outside Ulrich's house at the time, and we started getting into the conversation, and it was a little something like, okay, so let's talk about children. Now, the first thing is, we already knew this question, but what I would ask any person who is not in this position, but is dating or courting somebody, first question that you would ask them is, do you have children?
100%.
Do you have children? Not even do you want, because we live in a very different age where all kinds of things are going on. So I think a very clear and easy starting point is, do you have children?
Wow.
And how many do you have? You know, like if the person says yes or no, because you can't even start the question of, do you want to have children? Because the person be like, listen, I got 3.
Jesus. Can you imagine?
So you kind of need to know these things from the outset, because that can really change the trajectory of the relationship. And we're not saying that if somebody has children you don't get with them, not at all. But you need to know what you're getting involved with,
100%.
because if they do have children already, you're now playing a new ball game that has a different set of rules. It has, okay, this isn't now basketball, this is actually football or rounders or whatever it is. There's more involved in this.
Yeah.
So we would definitely say explore that, and wherever that leads off to, because obviously if it branches out, how many children do you have, and then how old are they, and then everything else that comes at that level of the conversation.
Yeah.
So for us, the question started at, do you want to have children? Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. I don't remember if it was me asking Ulrich or Ulrich asking me. But we got into the question about, do you want children? And we both knew we definitely wanted children. The next question was, when do you want children?
Yeah.
And thankfully,
we kind of agreed on.
We both agreed that we didn't want to have a child
straight away. No way.
And that was the question. The question was, do you want to be pregnant upon consummation? I.e., is it wedding night? Yes, I want to be pregnant.
The seed sown, boy.
Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
And also, we need to be able to manage each other's expectation, because there's nothing worse than one wanting children straight away and another one wanting to say, no, I want to chill for a bit. And then before you know it, you've kind of been like, you're going at it. So, yeah, that was definitely...
Yeah, I think for me, I definitely wanted to kind of wait. I didn't want us to have the responsibility of being parents so soon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we'd spent so much time getting to know each other. And especially because we abstained as well from the whole kissing and sex and all that kind of stuff. So it was like we needed time. Sorry guys, we're just going to get back onto Instagram. It's just deleted us out again.
Should we go from here?
No, I think it should be alright. So yeah, I think
welcome back.
It was one of those things where I was just like, no, we needed to spend time getting to know each other as a married couple. You know what I mean? Because it was so everything was new.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was new living together.
Yeah.
It was new just being in each other's space.
Yeah.
It was like a new house at the time.
Yeah.
And then it was like
everything
was new.
Was gonna be brand new.
It was a different level to our relationship, because we had known each other over the phone, seeing each other, talking in the car, and now it was like we were in the living room, or we were in the bedroom, or we were crossing each other's path in the kitchen. So it was just like a completely different dynamic to our relationship.
And it was one like, that we couldn't anticipate what it was going to be. There was nothing that we could fathom, because we've never lived with a partner or an ex or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anything like that. We had never lived with anyone. So for us, this was going to be brand new, uncharted territory.
100%.
So one of the analogies that we used was that we said, listen, I do not want to wear too many hats at once.
What
it meant is, I don't want to be wearing wifey hat, mother hat, and then still trying to do working hat, still trying to do like just new life hat. I want to gradually progress to this. And I know that some people, they just go straight in, and we say hats off to you, because you're literally walking into a whole new realm and doing everything all at once.
Brand new,
But one of the greatest things for us, hey honey, one of the greatest things for us is actually gradually get into that place. We wanted to gradually grow, gradually learn about each other. Because
100%.
Obviously, when you've waited that long, you really want to enjoy the exploration in the fullness of
Yes, we had to enjoy.
And also, what we wanted to do is we had plans, we had things that we wanted to accomplish together, we had ministry things, albums that we wanted to work on. So we already identified from really early on, we wanted to go traveling, we wanted to be able to do those things. And we didn't want to now have children added to the mix too early. So we kind of decided like we would have our first child after about 3 years.
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. But actually, in real life, it didn't happen until 5 years. So we actually pushed it back a bit more. So, but yeah. However, when we were in the car, we were sitting down and we were talking. And we were sharing, and we were saying, okay, so hashing out, you know, what's your plan? What's your expectation? What would you like? And then we went on to, okay, so how many children do you want?
Jeez. That was an interesting conversation. Because I think you kind of default to what you've grown up with. That's what I said anyway.
Absolutely.
So I know that is
known.
Yeah, because I know I've got 2 older sisters.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, 3 is fine, you know.
Yeah, no more than 3.
And then Siobhan was like, well, there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa.
However, and I think the 2 of us, we knew that because there was 4, like we knew 3 or 4 we could really move to, but we always said, we wouldn't go any more than 4.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like, but then at the same time, 4 is difficult car-wise. That means you have to go up to a 7-seater and all of those other things. So straight away we were kind of thinking, wow, we really do need to think about this.
Yeah.
Because it will impact
everything changes.
A lot of the decisions that we make.
Yep.
And then we started talking, and I think that, like, I'm going to get into the juicy in a bit, but I just want to park it here and just say something. I think for any person who's talking about getting married to someone, or they're thinking of getting married to someone, they're dating someone, the importance of looking at how many children you want and how you want to raise those children is so important, because it's going to set some foundations. And one of the questions we looked at is, would you ever adopt?
Jeez.
And for us, I think that we were both very, very sure of our answer.
Yeah. Keep going.
And the question that, the answer that we had was yes, we would. However, we were both very clear that we wouldn't actually look at adopting until we had probably raised our own family. However, one thing that we did also identify is, if we couldn't have children, would we adopt? And I think that it's one of those really important questions and topics to even look at and consider, because I think so often in this day and age you can just assume you're going to have a child, you're going to have a family, you're going to have this, you're going to have that. But actually, in the event that it doesn't go the way things have been planned, in the event that it doesn't work the way that you would like and have thought, in the event that God's plan is different, now what would you do?
Definitely.
What would you do if one of you could have children and the other one couldn't? What would you do if the child didn't make it? You conceived, and I think they're really hard conversations to have.
Yeah, but they're important.
Absolutely, imperatively important.
Yeah, because I think what it does is it kind of just helps you to manage your expectations. And sometimes I think as believers, not to be disrespectful, I think we obviously will hear a conversation like this and be like, God forbid that would never happen to me. But I think you just never know. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, and this is where we talk about marriage being for mature people, because you get to a point where mature decisions obviously need to be made, and mature conversations need to be made, because I think to not talk about things kind of leaves you, you know, a bit in the wind, really, because you're not really sure how the person feels about a particular thing. Do you know what I mean? So these were some of the conversations that we had to have. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that I think at the time I said, adopting would be fine. Do you know what I mean? If we can accommodate it, and you know, we were at a place, you know, financially where we could do it, I don't see any reason why. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't. But that would have to just be by God's leading. Do you know what I mean? So there was a question that said, do we think that contraception interferes with God's timing for you having a child?
Now, I think that's a fantastic question, because that was a lot of what we discussed, and we spent a long time talking about this area here and discussing, okay, so biblically, what does the Bible say about the brothers who were spilling their seed on the ground and things like that? And we were like, boy, is this us delving into this territory? But one thing I would say is, now, personally, I am not against contraception the same way that I'm not against paracetamol or medication. I'm not against any of those things. I think that they are in place in this day and age for us to manage the resources and the things that God has given us. So with that said, we continuously pray about when it's the right time to have a child and when 100%. It's not. And from personal experiences, we had Matthias. We initially planned to have our first child after 3 years of marriage. But when we were 3 years in, it wasn't the right time.
We birthed another baby.
Yes.
Which was our album.
Our album. We were working on the album. The album came out in 2014. Matthias was born in 2015. So it was like, you have to work with the times and the seasons of what you're in. When Matthias was born, after about a year and a half, we wanted to have our next child, but it wasn't yet time. And Matthias
and those who we were accountable said, no,
don't do
it
that
is not time, because it would have been a struggle, because especially because of where we were at that time, it just wouldn't have worked, and we knew it as well. Do you get what I mean? And I think this is why it's so important to have accountability and to you know, have people who watch over you and can see you from outside of how you see your life, so they can kind of say to you, you know what, guys, as much as I know that you want this thing and I want this thing for you, I don't think that it's the right time. Do you know what I mean? So to answer to that question about contraception, I don't think that it interferes only when you allow it to. Because I think one thing that God has given to us, one, he's given us free will, and secondly, he's given us wisdom. Do you understand? And having a child, especially in today's world, I'm not talking about back in the day when there was no contraception and they were just, do you know what I mean? Boogie down, boogie down, boogie down. Do you know what I mean? But we are fortunate in this season. And even New Testament says, you know what I mean? If any man lack wisdom, let him ask. So I think it's important for us to commit these things to God.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Because even when we were on contraception, we were praying about, okay, God, when do we go off?
When do we come off?
When do we come off? When do we come off? Because it's like, do you know what I mean? And then there was a time, there was a season, the season that we came off contraception, we heard directly from God.
And you need that.
Do you get what I mean?
Confirmation.
Our accountability people, our leaders and stuff, they didn't know that we had actually done it, but we knew that it was time.
It was.
Do you know what I mean? And the crazy thing was, when we came off contraception, we didn't have a child straight away.
No, we didn't.
We did not have a child straight away, and we started to get worried. We were just thinking, yo, what's going on? And when we fell pregnant, I'm telling you guys, it was perfect
Perfect
timing. Like,
And-
it couldn't be more seamless.
And that's what I wanted to say, because one thing that we always have to remember is there's something about the timing of God. And when you are obedient to the Spirit of the living God, when you are obedient to when God says do something and don't do something, he honors you by blessing and favoring you. So when we were pregnant with Matthias, I feel like about 8 or 9 people were pregnant first time,
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
us. And it was just like
There's a
our
baby boom that
closest
year, bro.
friends were all pregnant at the same time, just having children, and we were like, wow. And it was really good for us because it meant that we got to speak to people and experience that whole newness together. Exactly the same with when we got married. A lot of people got married that year or the year before, and it was just a powerful time. And now, even when we've had Cyrus, there are so many of our friends that have had a child or
again,
are
yeah.
pregnant around the same time.
Yeah.
So we really got that sense of encouragement
Yeah.
and support that it's a good time, it's the right time. But if you are not prayerful about it, then it's really gonna
Yeah,
be, it's
prayer
gonna be
prayer
a lot.
definitely helps. I think you kind of have to be. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't always know the right things to do. Do you get what I mean? And
when the right time is to
when
do
the
it.
right time is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you commit it in prayer, you know, it just allows God to kind of come in and do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think the next part was, I can't remember what you written. You know, I like to
Yeah.
go off script.
Yeah, you can go off script.
Was about how we were going to discipline our children.
Yes.
This was a big topic.
Now, at this point, you know, like when you start a conversation and you're talking in the car, and the windows, you can see out of them. And then we got to this part of the conversation, and all of a sudden, we couldn't. The temperature changed in the car that we couldn't even see out of the windows. You know those ones where you start getting heated because you're expressing how you feel about this topic.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Ori even remembers how he put it, but do you remember?
I don't. I remember what I said.
What did you say?
I said that basically, because I was very much adamant that, do you know what I mean, children in today's day and age, do you know what I mean, we have to make sure that we are on top of the discipline part and making sure that we're watchful over them and that we don't allow them to cross the line.
Yeah.
But I think the way that I came across, it came across like I was going to be some tyrant dad that was going to be beaten and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, no, it wasn't actually, because I don't actually think I said anything about like spanking or anything like that. It was more about, look, we need to make sure that by the time that they're 2 or 3 years old.
3 years old. By Ulrich said, listen, if that child is not in shape by 3 years old, you lost it. No. As in, you have the first 3 years of their life to lay in the discipline and get them into the place they need to be. And anything after that, boy, you lost it. It's just too late. It's just too late. You can't try and start talking to them at 3 years old about your expectations or laying down what you expect. It's too late.
It's true. It was funny.
Oh,
and I remember saying it, and I kept to it. I kept to it.
He was
100%.
adamant, and I was like, what on earth? I was fuming because I was just like,
because she thought I was going to be beating this child and just blah blah blah, and I said, look, you can't play around with kids, you know. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, once we had Matthias, do you know what I mean? I think both of our expectations shifted
completely
because she became the tyrant. I'm joking. No, but I think you began to see what I was talking about.
Yeah, I got to see the importance of having a firm, strict ideal of what you're doing and just sticking to it.
100%.
Now,
and then for me, what I learned was timing and patience.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like I was saying, I was just like, 3 years old. If you haven't done it by 3 years old, you lost them. And as soon as Matthias turned 3, I was just like, you know, I think we're in it for the long haul, you know. This is going to be a consistent and a continual thing that we're going to have to continue doing, probably all the way up until they're big and old and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that was our naivety so to speak, of
absolutely.
not knowing
absolutely
what we were in for.
But yeah, I think, guys, what we would definitely share with you guys are just a few pointers of things to consider.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already had the conversations about children, we would say, and if this is like, if you're courting and you're planning to go down the line, have the conversations about the schools that you want them to go to.
Yeah, that's true.
What type of schools do you want them to go to?
Yeah.
Is it a faith-based school? Is it an outstanding school? Is it a boarding school? Is it an independent school? One of the things I remember Ulrich and I speaking about in the car that night was how we would both love to have our child go to a private school. It seemed like it was
way out of reach.
Just untangible. It was just something that we would never be able to do. We didn't know how much it cost, but all we knew is that it would be expensive and it would be hard and we don't know how, but we would love to have this. And when our son turned 3 and we got him into an independent school, a private school, the way that God did it,
That was powerful, man.
the tears of joy that left our hearts, you know, just like remembering the days that we sat, the day that we sat in the car talking about what we wanted, and seeing that God had actually done it. The way he had done it, we couldn't believe it. And we always would encourage every couple, every person to literally sit down, have those conversations, and then map out plans of how you would achieve it. And one of the things that we also talked about is, okay, cool, so you've got your child, what kind of home do you want them to grow up in? What kind of activities do you want to do? Culture. What do you want to see this child?
I was big on that though.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, look, we are going to raise, because one of the things that I think we might have mentioned it, like when we first met and we did like our devotional together, where we were kind of just speaking about our future and all that kind of stuff. You know, one of the things that was really heavy on our heart, you know, to kind of do was about understanding, creating, I can't remember the scripture. It was like about raising your children in like a nest of safety, and making sure that you know generational things that might have been in the family and all that kind of stuff, that you cancel all that stuff, you pray about those things, and just make sure that the home that you're creating is something that the two of you are coming together to create. Because I think culture has kind of shaped a lot of homes, which is not a problem. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with culture, but I guess for me, we questioned everything. Do you know what I mean? Anything that we did culturally that didn't seem right, or that we were just doing it out of habit, we just questioned it. And we said, okay, well, where does this come from? And do we want our children to be involved in that? Do you know what I mean? Do we want them to learn those cultures? And if not, it was out. And if it was, then we're like, yeah, cool, let's bring it in. Do you know what I mean? So.
And it was difficult because I know that, like, okay, so prime example, myself and Ulrich, we don't listen to much secular music. So we listen to it if it's on for other people. But if we had to choose a song, we would go to a gospel song, just because that's where we're at. So the question was...
We were at,
would we let our children listen to secular music? Now, Matthias has a playlist on my phone.
and it is not all gospel.
It's not all gospel. He has chosen songs from adverts, from movies. He loves all kinds of songs. Some songs...
Musician in the making, but I tell you.
I don't like them. I don't really want him to be listening to them, but every time the song comes on, he just goes crazy for them. and that's...
Get down.
That's not the one I was thinking about, but yeah.
I know.
There are a number of songs that he just like... And what do I do? Do I clamp on those things that are clearly bringing him so much joy? And he's an expressive child, and I think we have to musical. We have to arrive at those things together. So even like some of the movies, one of the things that we had to discuss is, okay, cool, we don't swear. That's not a household that we want to have our children being raised in. We don't want to be swearing around and so on. But if we're watching a TV show, is our child allowed to be in the room where they're swearing in the TV show?
That's right.
What kind of... TV, like what kind of atmospheres do we want our children to be around? Because all of these things feed into what we are building as a family.
100%.
And you know, like, okay, even with the discipline, are we gonna smack? Are we not gonna smack? Where do we smack? You know, all of those things, like, they are really important things to discuss. And I say it because when you're in it, you're now going to revert back to, because it's brand new. And when you're in it, you don't know what to do because you're kind of like, okay, this is new territory. But if you've had a conversation where the two of you have kind of outlined certain things, it helps you to have it as almost like a playbook to go back to say, okay, cool, well, we agreed that we'd do something like this. So let's try it. Or in this situation here, I don't even think we could do this because we never expected that we could have done this. And it blows it straight out of the water, but at least you're semi-prepared.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just about having a plan. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, the Bible says many are the plans of a man's heart, but only the counsel of God prevails.
That's right.
So it's always good to have a plan, although making sure that the plan is in some ways loose enough so that as you're experiencing things as you're going along, and sometimes as well, you're kind of making up your mind.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you may not even necessarily be completely sure what it is that you want. You may think you want something. Yeah. And then when you're faced with the situation or the scenario, it could completely change.
That's right.
Do you get what I mean?
So just as you're saying that, an example of that is when we were in the car, we were saying, okay, cool. So would you be one of those people who films the birth of your child?
No, girl.
And at the time I was like, oh hell no, I don't want to be seeing that. I don't want nobody to be seeing that. I don't want nobody to be filming that. You ain't got no time to be filming that when there's other things going on in the room. So you need to be focused. Don't be looking like that. Right. Look.
That is right.
Do not film the birth of our child.
You best believe I filmed that stuff, man. But you know what the funny thing was? Best believe that thing deleted, you know. Best believe.
How is that even possible?
It deleted. I don't know how on God's green earth that even happened.
But it happened.
Filmed it. I think I watched it because I know we haven't even talked about the birth of our son. We'll talk about that in another series. But like, it was crazy after the birth and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, I remember watching a part of it and then I put my phone down. And then I came back to it and it was gone. It wasn't even in the deleted folders. So I'm just like...
It was just God.
It must be God.
And I didn't even get to watch it. It was just...
It's crazy. Gone.
But it was one of those things where at the time, I specifically remembered when we talked about it in the car.
Nope.
No, don't you dare.
Yeah.
Don't you dare film it.
Yeah,
and then get into it and it was like...
Film it.
Film it.
One next voice, you know, that giving birth voice. Film it. One next thing trying to come out, manifest. Yeah, it was funny, man. It wasn't funny, but it was funny now thinking about it. Because sometimes this is what you got to do, guys. You got to kind of look back at yourself and just be like, we were a bit trippy, man. We were crazy. Thinking that was going to happen.
Exactly. But you know what? I love the fact that it's about evolving, it's about growing, it's about that change.
100%. Yes.
It's one of those things. Yes. And you have to grow with it. But one thing we would definitely recommend, that we would definitely encourage all couples to do, take the time to talk about these important things. Because when they come along and you're in it,
listen,
Jesus,
something else,
it's
man.
a completely different story.
You need something to kind of at least like a reference to go back to. Do you know what I mean? Because I know so many people who didn't talk enough. They just did not talk enough, and they were just like, but you know, I love him or I love her, and it's just like, it's cool. Do you know what I mean? And they've gone in, and then it's like things that they haven't talked about just begins, cobwebs just coming out of the woodwork, and it's just like, and now
additional pressure.
It's additional pressure because now you're in it, you know, and you've got to kind of stick through it. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to keep pushing and all that kind of stuff, so that so that things don't break down. And praise God, some of them have been successful at it. You know what I mean? They're working through it. But I think for us, what we're trying to do with our experience is to save anybody from going through unnecessary hurt or delay or even pressure. Do you get what I mean? And I think for our generation, our parents and our elders didn't necessarily show us their weaknesses necessarily, or were comfortable sharing those mistakes and stuff. And I think in any person's life, not hearing the mistakes of the previous generation will always set us up in the negative. Do you know what I mean? And it's like those conversations, those things are what help us to say, you know what, okay, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do that. And sometimes we're still stubborn and we still go and do it, because sometimes we need to learn from, we need to make mistakes too. But as it results to like relationships, guys, do you know what I mean? Have these conversations.
Definitely.
Please talk about
we
it.
Implore you,
even if it feels weird. Even if it feels weird. Just have the, okay, what would you do if this happened? What would, like, that's how it is.
That
just come up with scenarios, even if they are negative, because look, life happens, you know. Do you know what I mean? So yes, guys. So we hope that you have enjoyed our conversation. We're trying to like shorten everything now and just keep it nice and succinct. So yes, guys, we hope that you enjoyed our little convo, and we hope that you can take something from it. So as you know, thank you guys so much for watching. The few of you guys that have joined today, we know it's back to school next week, so we know it's going to be a crazy week for the parents. But we just pray that all goes well, and that you're able to find all the stuff, buy all the stuff, get everything ready. I know I'm looking forward to it, just so I can have peace in my mind. Because the house has just been very loud for the past 5 months. So, but yes, guys, continue to share and follow us. Two Love Collective, our YouTube and Facebook channels. Please subscribe and give us feedback, comment, anything that you think that is really good. Tell us about it. Anything that's not so good, tell us about it. Because that's the way that we grow. And thank you again, guys. You could have been watching Disney, could have been watching Prime, could have been watching Netflix, but you decided to be with us, guys. And we really appreciate you guys. So next week, so next week we're going to be over at the Cokers. We are the Cokers page, and we are going to be having our Come Let Us Worship segment, where we're just going to sing and just give God praise. We're going to see who is going to accompany us next week, but we'll let you know in the week. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome time of just some music, some fun, and just allowing God to just have his way. So yes, guys, we will see you next week, 9 p.m. BST.
Bye, guys.
Take care. God bless.
See ya.
Bye.